day, grade 7s. This is Mrs. Liesel. Today we're going to do the lesson Narrative Essay. It is in your Platinum textbook on page 78 and 79, Activity 7. Write a narrative essay. We're first going to look at the different features of a narrative essay. A narrative essay tells a story. It often has a message. It tells a story from a particular point of view. This point of view can either be your own point of view or a character's point of view. You have to concentrate on the plot. Remember, the plot of the story is everything that happens from the beginning of the story up until the climax. The climax is the part of the story where the action happens, the most important part of the story. There must be actions and events to describe in sequence, which means from the first thing that happens up until the last. There's 3 parts in a narrative essay: the beginning, the middle, and the ending. The ending usually has a message or a surprise. The topic for your narrative essay is My Time in Lockdown. You must make sure of the following things. Your story must be between 130 and 180 words. It must have between 3 and 5 paragraphs. Let's look at the planning. You can draw a mind map first to do your planning. You write your title, then you ask yourself, who is in your story? This will be your characters. The next question will be, what? What happened? What did you do during lockdown? Your third question will be, where? Where did this take place? What is the setting of your story? Remember that there can be more than one setting in a story. The last question that is asked will be, when? When did the story take place? Now let's look at the first paragraph, the beginning. Use a strong opening sentence for your first paragraph. This sentence must make the reader want to read further. Introduce the main characters. Do not introduce all the characters, only the main characters. Also introduce where the story takes place, in other words, the setting. Now let's look at the middle part of the story. Here you have to write 2 or 3 paragraphs. Order the events so that the story flows smoothly. In other words, put the events into sequence. You have to put the events from the first thing that happened up until the very last thing. Use a combination of shorter sentences, sentences with only one clause, and longer sentences, that's sentences with a main and a dependent clause. This is the juicy part of your story. Here you must put all the necessary information. This is the longest part of the story. Now let's look at the ending. Think of an interesting ending. Is it a surprise? Does it have a special message? Now, throughout the story, You must make sure that your writing is interesting by using adjectives and adverbs. Use conjunctions to join your sentences. And think carefully about the verb tenses you choose. In a narrative, most verbs will be in the past tense. After you have done your first draft, work through your first draft and make some changes. Ask yourself the following questions. Do I need to add any details? What details are not important for my story and can maybe be left out? Have I told the events in the best order? Is the grammar, punctuation, and spelling correct? When you are satisfied, write the final version of your story. Grade 7s, we are done with this lesson. I hope you understand now how to write your narrative essay. Be creative. Think of everything you've done so far during this lockdown period. But if you have any questions, feel free to contact me with these questions. Good day.